Hello, welcome to part 58 of Clinical Physiotherapy MCQ series. Here we gon discuss day-to-day clinical scenario with detailed explanation. Now don't waste our time, let's move to question number 286. The physical therapy plan for a patient who underwent medial meniscectomy includes exercising the quadriceps femoris against accommodating resistance. Which of the following exercises should be recommended? Option A, knee bends through half of the range. Option B, knee extension with a sandbag at the ankle. Option C, knee extension on an isokinetic exercise device. Option D, straight leg raising with a sling suspension. And the answer is Option C, knee extension on an isokinetic exercise device. Explanation for this question is, isokinetic exercise devices utilize accommodating resistance throughout the range of motion. The other exercises do not include forms of accommodating resistance. Now let's move to question number 287. A physical therapist is treating a patient with ulnar nerve entrapment at the cubital tunnel. Which muscle would most likely be weak from this type of pathology? Option A, flexor digitorum superficialis. Option B, flexor carpi radialis. Option C, flexor pollicis longus. Option D, flexor carpi ulnaris. And the answer is Option D, flexor carpi ulnaris. Explanation for this question is, Option D, the ulnar nerve innervates the flexor carpi ulnaris and the medial half of the flexor digitorum profundus. Option A, this is innervated by the median nerve. Option B, this is innervated by the median nerve. Option C, this is innervated by the median nerve. Now let's move question number 288. You receive a referral to ambulate a patient who is insulin dependent. In a review of her medical record, you notice her blood glucose level for that day is 310 mg per deciliter. Your best course of action is to Option A, ambulate the patient as planned but monitor closely. Option B, postpone therapy and coordinate with the nurse regarding insulin management and exercise. Option C, refrain from ambulating the patient, reschedule for tomorrow. Option D, talk to the nurse about seeing the patient later on that day. And the answer is Option B, postpone therapy and coordinate with the nurse regarding insulin management and exercise. Explanation for this question is, normal lasting plasma glucose is less than I15 mg per deciliter while a fasting plasma glucose level greater than 126 mg per deciliter on more than one occasion is indicative of diabetes. This patient is hyperglycemic with high glucose levels, equal to or greater than 250 mg per deciliter. Clinical signs that may accompany this condition include ketoacidosis, acetone breath, with dehydration, weak and rapid pulse, nausea, vomiting, deep and rapid respirations, Kussmaul's respirations, weakness, diminished reflexes, and paresthesias. The patient may lie lethargic and confused and may progress low diabolic coma and death if not treated promptly with insulin. Physical therapy intervention is contraindicated. Exercise can lead to further impaired glucose uptake. Now let's move to question number 289. A physical therapist is monitoring the exercise of a patient with type 1 diabetes. The patient's blood glucose level would be best for safe exercise at which of the following values? Option A, 90 ml per deciliter. Option B, 175 ml per deciliter. Option C, 260 ml per deciliter. Option D, 345 ml per deciliter. And the answer is Option B, 175 ml per deciliter. Explanation for this question is, patients with type 1 diabetes use insulin. Blood glucose levels should be between 100 and 250 ml per deciliter for patient safety. Now let's move to question number 290. A physical therapist is treating an individual recovering from a total knee replacement. The therapist desires to make an objective measure regarding the functional ambulation status of this individual. Which of the following devices would be most useful? Option A, goniometer. Option B, treadmill. Option C, stopwatch. Option D, stairs. And the answer is Option C, stopwatch. Explanation for this question is, Option C, a stopwatch for the tug or 6 MWT would be most useful. These are excellent tests in determining function in a community ambulator. Option A, this will measure motion, but not functional status. Option B, there are several possibilities for non-standardized tests, but this would not be as good as the 6-minute walk test or timed up and go test. Option D again, not as good as option C. So, that's all for today. If you have any doubts, please comment below. I think you have learned something valuable today. See you on the next part, that's part 60. See you till then, bye bye.